I think we all know what it's like to get a phone call, see an unfamiliar number, and let it go to voicemail. There are so many telemarketers, spammers, and con artists out there, after all. Well, artist María Magdalena Campos-Pons got a phone call like that. But they kept calling and kept calling.
And then finally, one morning, I wake up and say, oh my God, this number again. So I see the number and I call and say, I'm sorry, I apologize. I have been getting this call from this number, but I don't know who is this. And they say from the other line, this is María Magdalena Campos-Pons. And I say, yes, I am in trouble.
Turns out they wanted to let her know it was official. She's a genius. Yes, the Cornelius Vanderbilt Professor of Art can now add MacArthur Fellow to her long list of accolades, and for good reason. The Cuban-born artist seems to create and imagine without limits, whether it's paint, sculpture, textiles, photography, film, you name it. And she thinks that Nashville has what it takes to be a cultural force when it comes to creativity. After you hear her tell it, you'll be inclined to agree. I'm Demetria Kalodimos. It's Banner and Company. Paint a picture for me of your hometown in Cuba, La Vega. That means the meadow, right?
Okay, but it also too a place that is like a place where you collect plants. And it could be two different sugar plants, but also tobacco. So red soil, red soil. So red and so fertile that I have image when I was very young of chicken, roosters and chickens picking iron, pure iron, out of the surface of the soil. And when I think of that as an adult woman, I say, unbelievable. And then another image from that, seeing the yolk of the egg almost orange.
Really?
So when I came to America and saw a yellow egg yolk, I was thinking, like, what's this?
I bet they taste better, too.
I mean, it tastes, but it was a color. It was a question of colors. So that, and some very particular tree that they're always in my heart. A ceiba tree is in the family of the baobab. It's a very big tree. The palm tree, almacigo tree, one tree that look in the sunlight as it is copper, like metal. Sugar cane, a lot of sugar cane. The remains of an old factory within the neighbors, and everything in a way gigantic in my mind. No, like I said recently that I have this vision of sugar that was so tall. Then I learned, of course, it's the tallest grass, but it was my size. No, as a very young girl, and a lot of freewheeling, a lot of free time to wander. So that is something that I keep as a kind of precious memory from my childhood, and of course the family. But that I think that one of the images that stayed always with me was the color and the nuances of that landscape: sky, flower, tree, soil.
You just had a birthday, and happy birthday, by the way.
Thank you.
And I know you were born, if I'm correct, 6 months after the revolution.
Yes.
How did that affect your family?
I assume that this is a true thing to say it affects everyone, no? I was, they are, now I could reflect as an adult, but there is such an innocence and no understanding of everything. But it was the revolution in Cuba when it happened was a two blades knife. No, there are many people who celebrated. There are many people that were devastated. I assume in that particular moment, and for what history tell, and for people that were part of the population that was underserved, the population that don't have access to many things, They maybe was a reason for celebration. For people that have a lot of sins at stake, it was complex. It was an attempt to some idea of justice that was important at the time. No, I understand that. My family have a mixed relation with it, because we were black, we were not poor, but we were a middle class that go decently, for what I understand, with their life. My two brothers and my brother and sister, 11 years older than me, went to school, private scenes, have everything that they needed. My parents built a house for years before they married. And what I learned to know very early when I was young, the law of urban housing declared that anybody that living in a particular property at the time of the law is owner of the place.
Yeah.
My family was renting a house that they built and lost it.
Wow.
So I grew up, my father having nothing to do with Castro and his program his entire life. And my mother trying to negotiate that we need to keep going. We cannot stop. We are not leaving any place. So I learned that since very early. It was a little bit of resistance in the family, and at the same time trying to adapt to the new situation. I come from a family who were practitioners of African traditions. And in the very beginning of the Castro process, African tradition were cut off, as well as Catholicism, as well as any practices of religion. So again, the family have a pull and push relation there. I have members of the family that were, member of the young revolutionary activities and all of that. But that's what I learned. My father always was cautious and observant and a kind of disbelieving, and but never want to leave Cuba. All of his friends left Cuba. Many of his friends that even stay and live later remember those conversations when you're coming. And for very particular reasons of family history, my parents decided to stay in Cuba. And that's my history. So I grew up in that dynamic and learning to be excellent or whatever in what I needed to do. And my mother was, as I always say, a feminist, except that she told me one day very clearly, if I would have been a real feminist, I would have signed all the paper that your father refused to sign, because the government offered to my family an alternative house for the one that was then, and my father always refused to get it. And he said, nope, I want my home. And that home was not available, and my mother used to say, I should have signed all those people and recover some kind of property or something. But any case, back outside that, this chapter of my life, then I become a young woman in a moment in which education was accessible for everyone. My mother wanted to be a teacher. She never managed to do. She couldn't. My father went to a school until 9th grade. And then went to do labor in the sugar fields. So here I am. I went to elementary school, high school, special high school, higher education. So I have always said in every opportunity, I have the privilege and the great opportunity to participate in an incredible educational program. The program for the education and for the arts that become the one day only that I know in Castro was marvelous. And I was part of this art education system who was beautiful and fantastic. I learned a great deal. It prepared me for being a woman in the war. When I came here, I came after finishing grad school in Cuba, and I went to the MFA program at Mass College of Art, and I was very vivid in my class. I remember that my English is still a little broken. Imagine in 1988, I was speaking in tongues, but I remember the students in my class in the master program asking me, you need to come to my critique to defend me. So whatever I brought with me from Cuba was good enough that my peers would say, oh, I want you in my side. Besides my criticism to the faulty lines of what socialism is in any place, I am very always grateful to the education and my professors in Cuba, extraordinary people, to the kind of camaraderie and collaboration that in my outbringing was genuine. No, I didn't grow up with a fake sense of solidarity. I learned that. I saw many things that I disagree in time. They were many things that were not necessarily as they should be, I go to Cuba often still, and I could see the damage line of a system that is stubborn but doesn't give the solution and resolve the problem of the time.
Yeah.
And that is the story with that. I adore Cuba, and you didn't ask me all this question. Maybe I answered more than you asked, but I am passionate about Cuba, before and in between and after. No, it's an incredible small accumulation of people with histories and a perception of the world and perception of themselves in a way that has created extraordinary culture.
Yes.
Over centuries. So, and that's what I say, my passion for Cuba, my passion from Matanzas, the Athens of Cuba, in such a colonial frame, but still, is profound. And, now I am 65. I am way too old to dust out those kind of a profound engagement with a place, with a site, and but I'm going to, yeah.
It sounds to me like the arts and visual art was really valued in the education, unlike in the States here, where sometimes it's seen as a frill or the first thing that could be cut.
So I feel, I always start answering when I think, when somebody asks me a comparative viewpoint of my divided heart between America and Cuba, the beauty and the value of every place. I think about America as an extraordinary experiment, like any other place in the planet, like a dreaming of an experiment of human condition as its most accelerated form to explore. And there is a lot of beauty in that. The kind of a mixing, reaching, expanding that we do here is unparalleled, And with that come a lot of shortcomings. So I am grateful to landed here, becoming a mature woman here. I have lived now more time in America than in Cuba by years, and understand that education is fundamental, and arts is a center core of education. Yes, there was an incredible savvy decision in Cuba by whoever the people were there to put an emphasis on the art and understanding, because we are creative people in Cuba by DNA, by geography and particular conditions, here too. But I felt that we deserve ourselves here when we remove or put aside, I don't want to say the arts, I'm going to say creativity.
Okay.
I want to say creativity because I want to really talk about arts being a engine, being a propulsor of creativity. It's about any time that you create something new, you propose something that wasn't here, that is not present. that is human engine, that is human ingenuity.
It's
in
invention.
Every form is
Yeah.
invention. And what the art does is liberate those forces and liberate those mechanisms in our thinking mind, in our spirit. You are not afraid to make a line. You are not afraid to draw a house that doesn't look like a house.
Right.
Let me say something. Is Sahada Hadid, when she was a kid, drew the house that she ended up building. No? So she drew, and she said to the school teacher, this is a house. They may want to put her to do the square with a little triangle in top. Creativity is that. Imagine a house now that is a line, curving, stretching in a way that you have never seen, ever. But when you allow that to happen, when you give permission to imagine freely, you give permission to the unknown, the unforeseen. That's
Right.
what art is about.
It's Banner and Company. I'm Demetria Kalodimos. We'll be right back. If you're interested in building a more thriving and inclusive community by turning thoughtful generosity into positive change, well, you might want to know about one of our sponsors here at Banner and Company, the Community Foundation of Middle Tennessee. It matches compassionate givers with worthy causes in ways that benefit all of us. Check them out at cfmt.org. Do you have a recollection of the first time you thought, I'm going to make something pretty, or I'm going to make something with my own hands?
Yes. 10 years old.
What was it?
My dress. I didn't like to dress like everybody else. Like everybody else dressed. And I took a piece of fabric and have an idea what is that I wanted to do. And I cut it and sew it. And it was beautiful.
Do you remember the color and the...
Yes, blue. I remember. And I made it kind of a shape of a baby doll dress.
with
and
like
I have
the full
them,
skirt?
And I have them clean to cut the dress in a way that the dress was an angular shape, so it made the shape that I wanted. I remember that very clearly.
I read somewhere where you made a certain sort of plaster piece.
That's after.
That's
you asked
after.
me the very first time.
Oh no, I know, but I'm also going backwards in your creative life.
Yes.
What was so special about this piece?
It was nothing special. So by that time, when I did the dress, I am living. I'm very young. I stay in the family home. I go into the art school to the capital of the province, Matanzas, and in one of the exercises to learn to do scenes was to do a casting in plaster, and we used one of the models from any of the objects that were classic forms, and it was, I'm trying to remember if it was a plafond or something very simple, circular, kind of flat. And I was excited too because I was learning all these new scenes. So I decided to bring it to the home, to my parents to see it. And my father found that incredible, valuable, and amusing. And what I say before is the transportation in the family was a horse. So he picked me, put me in the horse. We get the plafond, and he went house to house in the village. Hey, so-and-so, look, Magda, my daughter, she made a monument. Beautiful, beautiful. When I think about that now, he called it a monument, and I say, fine. It was just a small relief, But what that event have stayed with me all my life was because the affirmation of my parents. Anything that I was doing that was different, that was new, for them was a reason to celebrate.
Wonderful.
And that was very, very, very valuable, very important. I have that. My father died, unfortunately, before I graduated from the Higher Institute of Art, few months before I graduated. But my mother have the opportunity to see a lot of celebration for my work later. But it was such a beautiful model of parents' acceptance. And when I am thinking this, I get reflective myself because I am a mother. And I don't know if I am as good as a parent as my parents were with me, in a way of affirmation and helping to solidify who I was going to become. And until today, help me, inspire me in memories and in dreams about keep going, keep moving. That was absolutely precious. And I don't think that is enough way to say thank you to that. And that particular scene, she's making a monument. That was not a monument. That was something that you literally throw away.
Right.
But what a wonderful scene. At that time it was no American have how you say idol. How you say this competition?
Idol. Yeah.
Yes, but my parents were fighting for me. For me to try to put me in the front line of scenes, very early.
We've got to talk about the MacArthur.
Oh.
How did this come to be? And do people even know that you're on the radar?
No, you don't. You don't. I know now that I has been nominated more than one. I learned because and then when I got this incredible gift and not only monetary gift, but affirmation and telling you we value who you are, we value what you do. We have been looking at you carefully for a long time. That was one of the things that I learned. The MacArthur was a combination of overwhelming events, one after another, because remember, this come at the time in which I have the show opening in New York. So literally, it happened to me that I have the New York Times reporter in my studio in Nashville, and I have to have the MacArthur crew recording me, and I cannot tell them just who is what because
they want you sworn to secrecy, right?
It was the most crazy thing. But the funny thing is I am attentive, but I am a distracted person too, because I have like a few telephone numbers that I answer all the time. My son, sister, partner, blah, blah, blah. And they are numbers that I don't recognize it, I have no answer. So it was this number from Chicago that I could not recognize, and I don't answer for like 2 weeks or something. And then finally one morning I wake up and say, oh my God, this number again. So I see the number and I call and say, I'm sorry, I apologize. I have been getting this call from this number, but I don't know who is this. And they say from the other line, this is María Magdalena Campos-Pons. And I say, yes, I am in trouble. And they say, no, you are not in trouble. We have been trying to reach you. We are calling you from the MacArthur, and I just eat MacArthur. I started screaming.
I can only imagine.
Crazy. He was in the other room. I couldn't help myself. And then I go like a emotional hiccup with crying. I needed to compose myself. Then she asked me, are you alone? Because I know people could faint or something. I mean, we are struggling artists. When somebody called you to tell you that they give you $1 million for being you or something like that, it's major. And I say, yeah, my partner is here. And I say, okay, you could tell him, but we want you to, keep this. So it was, and then I don't like to keep secrets like that, but I needed to keep it. I tried to do my best. They told me that they're going to, of course, contact Vanderbilt and let them know. And they needed to send a crew very quickly to interview me for this interview that you saw. And then I know later the other people. One of the most emotional moments in my life, we have a meeting of all the grantees together. One of my worst performance as a public speaker of anything that I've done in my life was everything around the MacArthur. I couldn't put myself together. ever. So we are together in this conversation online. I do webinar online. I do entire webinar. I couldn't get into my place. I couldn't get into the place, freaking out, shaking, whatever. I arrived to one place of this area that we needed to go, and I see just one very serious gentleman, and I say, I'm sorry, I'm late. I cannot find where to go to the page that I need to be in the webinar, to the room that I need to go. I said, oh, no, don't worry, María Magdalena. I could let you go to the room. He opened whatever it is. I am in the room, and here we are, all of us. And then the person that is doing the introduction saying, and we're going to bring to the room the president of the MacArthur Foundation. He was the guy that I was lost.
You're asking him how you get in.
Now I feel even worse. Even worse. But to make matters better, so he started introducing and saying, and he said that how they work and how they are artists that they look for over years, that not everyone always get a MacArthur, but the artists that they maybe, he didn't say have been nominated, but artists that we followed over years. And one of these artists is one of our awardee this year. And not only that, I had been living in my office with her work for this many years, and he turned the camera and is my piece. I almost fainted.
Wow, what was the piece?
Susurro, a dictate of Polaroid. I almost fainted. Again, anything that I say before or after, it was wrong, out of order. I mean, so my relation with this has been revealing, extraordinary, beautifully surprising, a gift of the people. I have known the many people that have thinking of me over the years as a deserving of this grant. And my gratitude, my veneration for that kind of trust, some of them are no longer with us. And it's immense. And all that I want to be and all that I'm trying to do is to be excellent, deserving, and excellent in what I do now that I have this privilege and this opportunity. One of the things that the MacArthur does, they work with you for over years. They stay with you. They looking after you. So this is a very generous and caring grant, and I couldn't be more proud that I brought that grant to Nashville, to Vanderbilt, to my cohort of peers and colleagues in the region. Anytime that people celebrate me, I say, and now it's closer to you.
Right.
No, because I think that is eventually.
What are the expectations? What comes along with it? What are you to do now?
Nothing.
Really?
There is a caveat in the letter that they sent to you. Even since you change your profession now, we want to know what you will do next. And I say, how a beauty. This is, the MacArthur is my father in the horse with my plafond saying, we trust her.
She made a monument.
She made a monument. It's like we trust her. This here is valuable. It's really, it's no attachment. It's just, you have been done something for this many years. And we have been looking and we have been talking with people that have been looking at you and seeing you. And we want to give you this moment of opportunity to dream, to rest, to retire if you want to retire. To do anything that you want to do with this gift.
It's Banner and Company. My guest is the artist and MacArthur Genius winner, María Magdalena Campos-Pons. We'll be right back.
I feel like as an artist, you can feel really like hopeless and helpless. But I feel like when we make something, that's like our opportunity to make a difference or to make a change. So I'm like, let's just do this in this space and say what we really think and feel about the situation. And I'm not trying to be too like pointed or to do like anything too on the nose, but also like this is a time of commemoration and grieving and just a lot of emotions. So it's just like our art is here for that. I was thinking a lot about Palestine and the conflicts happening there, and I was thinking about my Palestinian friends that live here, and I was thinking about how to make art and do something that could mean something to the community in this time. So then I asked my two friends who are Palestinian and my friend who's Kurdish, and I'm a Jewish person. And I'm like, let's say what we think about this situation. Let's commemorate these lives and let's feel this together.
Talk a little bit about Begonia Lab.
Right now we have an exhibition that is called Watermelon Seeds, and it's in celebration and trying to understand engagement and conversation between Palestinians and Jews, which is very important to understand, and trying to bring people together in moment of disparity and moment of conflict.
So how did this get started? How did the idea for Begonia Labs really come about?
Well, in 2023, I have the privilege to help to launch the very first Tennessee Triennial. The Tennessee Triennial is a project initiated by two wonderful artists of this region, Brian and Carrie Job. They are based now in Nashville, and they were the founder of Three Start organization, Located Arts. They're doing an amazing job serving all the artists in the region. And they have something beautiful, which is a database of where every artist is in the region, Located Arts. So they wanted to do this project, the Tennessee Triennial, for a number of years. And for different circumstances, weren't able to put it out. And they invited me first to join the Three Star Board of Directors. And then I suppose my talking in that board of directors, they saw what she maybe is good to help us with that. So they asked me to step out of the board of directors and help them to launch the first Tennessee Triennial. I did it as a consulting curator for the entire state of Tennessee. You know that we were in Memphis, Chattanooga.
So you're looking for artists?
Everywhere.
Okay.
And I traveled with them the entire state.
What's the most interesting or surprising thing you saw in the state?
How much extraordinary good art is in this region. How strong, powerful, idiosyncratic is the art that is made in there, and how the idea of having a triennial was a brilliant baby for these two. And what we decide, because they invite me as a consulting curator, we decide that, okay, I don't want just to be the traditional triennial that the curator, 2 or 3 or 4, do everything. Let's invite every possible cultural institution in the region. So let's say Nashville, Fritz Museum, Chigwood Museum, Parthenon, Fisk University Museum, Vanderbilt Museum, all the galleries. And I tried to get in with us to the State Museum. That one I couldn't, but I tried. Everybody in the city was involved in that. And the idea was to create a thematic project. So I created the idea of repair. A concept about how to rethink historically, culturally, the things that we could do better, the things that we could improve, and the things that we need to bring together for the first time, because it makes sense. So Begonia Lab is a little baby out of Vanderbilt. Vanderbilt didn't have a gallery facing any street in the city. You need to get into the campus, get lost, go into a second floor of going into the main building in the Peabody campus and find us. So I find out that this little place was for lease, and I mark that way, we're going to get that.
And for those that can remember, that was Scarlet Begonia, the import clothing and bags and things from Central and South America, an institution really across the street from the Parthenon.
So one of the things that I know, when you get to a place that is new to you, one of the most important things is to listen to the locals. It's not much about how much you speak, but how much you listen. So I saw, we don't need to change the name of Scarlet Begonia. Let's just take one name, because it's too long, and make Begonia Lab. Everybody will know how to find us, because we keep that tradition. I send a message to the owners. We're going to open, we become friends immediately with the people next door. It happened that in the bottom of the sign for the Cumberland store, it say repair.
Yep.
I couldn't believe it. It's there. So we negotiate, with Vanderbilt. What about if we have a gallery space that is a lab, a little space for a discussion, analysis, criticality of awesome. So we opened the gallery with an exhibition that I curated with the help of a very young curator at place, Michael Edwin. And it was about local artists and international artists together. So we have professors from Vanderbilt, local artists from the city. Beautiful. And that's what we're doing. We bring in artists, local artists, international artists. We're hosting seminar. We're hosting conversation.
And anyone can come?
And anyone could come. We are open all week. We do one of the most exciting programming in the city. We have thematic exhibitions. So look at our program. We are online, Begonia Lab in West End Avenue. And we're going to be doing an incredible program. So from the biennial, the triennial, what is listed, a new baby that is living in the town is Begonia Lab. One more thing about the Tennessee triennial that I want to say. This city, this region is ready for creativity to take hold. Remember, we are already a cultural destination for music. We are already a place that people come and visit us for music. And visuality, performativity, all of that in this region is in prime form. All that we need to do is let it blossom. We are ready. We are ready.
Banner and Company is a production of the new Nashville Banner. Our producers are Steve Haruch and Andrea Tudhope. Original music by Verlin Thompson. You can subscribe wherever you get your podcasts or at NashvilleBanner.com. You're in good company. Our little fishbowl here contains a question posed by a previous guest. So we have like a mystery question at the end for you to answer.
Should I get it?
Yeah, choose one and read it out loud. And
from Jeff Holmes. Where
do you see yourself in 5 years?
Good question. Hopefully in Nashville, leading a fantastic development of the arts in this region, working in Kamak Studios and creating ripples and ripples of creativity in this city, in this region, and linking globally in the global south. I'm going to expand the question from Holmes and say, in 5 years, as from today, I refuse to call myself an immigrant. I am not an immigrant. I am a daughter of planet Earth. I'm living in this beautiful small planet with all my fellow Earthlings. And I hope that we move into a world in which the beauty of all together, working together, eliminating the idea of borders, eliminating the separation of our humanity, and having a conversation, maybe here with you, Demetria, that allowed us to talk about the collective links of our unique and one humanity.